My name's Jack. I'm a 20-year-old founder of Puck Pro Media. We're a hockey media agency that provides videography, video editing, and promotional media services for hockey players looking to get recruited. And this is my January recap of growing my business, pretty much. We're going to talk about just the tangible things. I don't want to turn this into like my last long lessons video. I'm going to try to kind of keep this concise and just talk about like what we actually did this month and what we're planning to do next month. So let's get into it without further ado. Let's talk numbers because that's what people on the internet care about, right? So this past month we did somewhere between 30 to 35 grand in revenue. I haven't gotten the final numbers yet, which is partially a problem that I will talk about in this video, that I'm not as dialed in financially as I should be, but somewhere between 30 to 35K. I think we're probably sitting around 32. So 32K per month in January, which while it's our biggest month yet, it's not what I was shooting for based on our yearly goal of $1 million in revenue. We should have done around like 50 this past month. I'll explain why we didn't and why I think I know what the next steps are, right? So just like listing off the top of my head the things that we actually achieved this month, although it wasn't as big of a revenue month as I would have liked, right? Like I think December we did 22 or 23, something along those lines. So it's like, you know, a 10K bump. That's pretty good, but we needed to do more as far as like putting ourselves on pace for the $1 million goal. I think this quarter, the way we kind of structured out the numbers, this quarter we want to do like 180 or something like that, which leaves me with around, you know, 150K left to do between the next 2 months, which I think is doable, which I'll also discuss in this video. But outside of revenue growth, because I was really struggling with this, I was trying to think like, damn, dude, did we fail this month? And I don't think we failed this month at all. I think we did a lot that really laid the infrastructure to be able to do more revenue in the coming months. So I mean, like we hired our first full-time employee. We hit 10K followers on Instagram. We cracked the code on meta ads like completely. Like I fully understand how to scale my business with meta ads now. That sounds cocky. It sounds arrogant, but I think I found the formula. That is cocky and arrogant because we were spending like $150 a day. I have no clue what it looks like to spend $10,000 a day on meta ads, but we're in a good spot with that, which is always great. What else? What else did we do this month? We built a recruiting function. Okay, so all that to say, outside of revenue, like there were certain things that were achieved this month that cannot be directly measured with revenue. Give me 1 second. I just want to like, I'm always tweaking. I want to make sure it's recording. So let me just spin this around this way. Okay. Can I fully spin it? Hold up. Oh, fuck, I can't. All right. We're just going to trust that it's continually recording. So let's talk. We're going to kind of do this in a chronological order. So like first of the month to end of the month. So like I said, we went hard on meta ads. That was like a very clear thing. I went into the month with the ability to sell and market, and that's what I did. I was like, this is my priority. It's my job as a CEO and founder. If you guys watch my 2025 lessons and recaps video, big focus was just sell more, like get after it. If you're going to hit those revenue goals, you have to spend most of your day selling and marketing, which is great. And that worked fantastic for the first about 10 days of the month until everything started breaking operationally. And I was like, crap, now I have to go firefight. And that's kind of why, because we were by far like very good on pace for the 50K. Like we were getting 8 leads per day, 8 to 10 leads per day with $150 in spend, which was like, but all right, let me actually tactically talk about why the meta ads did well. So first, what we did was we launched a ton of creative. We launched a ton of creative, and then we were updating that creative like legitimately every 2 to 3 days. We were adding new creative. That's a big thing from what I've heard with like what Meta wants to see as far as what's working, and it was working for us. We were getting very efficient ad results, lots of leads, and they were all qualified. Another thing was the targeting. So that's something we tweaked too. They don't really want you to interest target anymore. Pretty much just like locate whatever your hard boundaries are, that's what you add, and then you leave it up to the creative to do the targeting. That's kind of been a theme for a while with meta ads, but like specifically lately, that's a bigger one. It's just creative only targeting. So like we used to have hockey as interests. We just removed that. And we just had the locations, and we got far better results that way. Another thing we did, because a problem we used to have was that it would be players filling out the form rather than parents. We just added an age gap or an age cap or limit, something like that. So 99% of the leads we were getting were qualified parents who actually have the money to make the purchasing decision. So that was a major win. And then our messaging was much more tailored to our ideal customer. So I think that's a big thing. Like in previous ads, like we've always been kind of good at running ads that perform. But I was struggling in my last ad, or my last like set of campaigns, because I was kind of just overcomplicating it and talking about a lot of different things. And this, I was just like same theme throughout. I think we ran 3 versions of primary text with just a change in the hook across all of the different creatives. So it was like media types and then just the same primary text, the same headlines, the same descriptions. And that it was working, right? So it's like, if you think about what's going to catch your attention first when you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, it's the media, it's whatever's on the screen. And we did a really good job at that. I'm confident, like one takeaway is like I know what message resonates with our audience and how we're going to approach meta advertising moving forward. So with that all being said, then we had to shut it down about 10 days in because we were swimming in leads. And anyone who's ever had like a profitable ad campaign that's working well is, you know, the next step is just like working your leads properly. And like I said, we were generating like 8 to 10 leads per day, which was on target with what we were shooting to hit. But I had budgeted like way more ad spend than I did not think we were going to do 8 to 10 leads per day at $150 in spend. The ads were just being like extremely efficient, which is great. But then I had a pipeline full of leads. And then meanwhile, we're like struggling with fulfillment. We're struggling to get videographers to different games where like people are canceling last minute. Our editing team's backed up. Shit's just on fire. And I'm like, damn, I gotta pause these ads because I'm not properly working the leads that I already have. We're generating more. I'm half-ass working them. Then I have customers to deal with and videographers to deal with, and everything's like getting screwed up on the fulfillment side of things. It's like it doesn't make sense for me to continue spending money on ads when the amount of leads is just not our problem right now. We had plenty of leads, so I had to kind of put the halt on marketing, which was very frustrating. Then I started trying to find solutions. So that caused me to, like I said, hire my first full-time employee. I guess we're moving into section number 2, right? Which is my guy, Declan, who has been working with us for the better part, about a year actually at this point, like a little bit over a year. And he's always been my right-hand man. He's always been like kind of full-time. Like he was always the person I relied on, but he was never like fully in. And legally, he wasn't full-time either. But like, this is my first like legal full-time employee. Like, there's a certain amount of hours he works each week. There's a monthly salary that he gets. And I even gave him vested equity in the company. Whoa, right? Now I don't technically own 100% of my company. Well, I still do because it's vested over multiple years. But it was 3% vested over 3 years. So he'll get 1% after this year, 2%. And it's just profit share. It's not voting rights or anything like that, but I know this guy well. He has always been contributing, and I wanted him to be a part of the upside. Like, if there, I wouldn't do it for anyone else. Like, I have other people in my company who I like, and I would like them to be part of the upside, but I haven't known them long enough, quite frankly, to give them a piece of the pie. But this kid, like, I've had a lot of time spent with him, so I trust him, and I know it's good. It's this thing, I'm always tweaking to make sure it's still on. I don't want to be recording this whole thing and it just stopped. So yeah, hired him, gave him some equity, vested equity, and now he's working for me full time, which is great. He's kind of serving as the manager role, so he's learning. It's tricky because it's that awkward point when you first hire someone where they're still learning. And you're pretty much just like, you almost even have like more responsibility because they haven't fully figured out what they need to do yet, but you're like teaching them how to do what they need to do. So that's kind of the phase we're in, but he's learning slowly. It's good. He took the quality control off of my plate, which is what we were doing. Every single time a videographer would shoot a game, I would personally go through review, make sure it's good, send them feedback. Just a small piece of feedback each week because that's kind of our plan to continue to develop people over time. And now he's the one handling that, which is great. He knows the game. He knows more. Like, the reason that I wanted him to be the guy, and I was okay with giving him a slice of the pie when he didn't even ask for it, was he knows my business the second most out of anyone. It's like me and then him. He knows a lot about everything we do, the why behind what we do. He knows a lot about hockey. He knows a lot about videography. He's the perfect person to kind of take on this role. So, coffee. We're going to be taking periodic coffee breaks. I'm really trying to not ramble, but I know I've already been talking for probably 15 minutes. So, yes, we hired him. He's handling that, which is great. Saves me a lot of time. He's scheduling people. I'm really trying to separate myself from the operations and trying to fight fires on the fly. That's what I really would like to do a lot less of. So he's kind of serving as the middleman with that. And like I said, he's still learning. The role's still evolving. We're still working on it, but he's doing good. He's figuring it out, and that's great. He also took over our social media. So like I said, we hit 2 or 10K on Instagram, which is like, I guess it's cool. It was a cool number to see. We had already hit that on like TikTok, but like my fucking grandma could hit 10K on TikTok. Let's be real. It's not that hard. So we hit 10K on Instagram. That was cool. I wanted to do it last year, but we did it very early into this year. And I have very high hopes for how the social media is going to continue to go. Like, I'm really focused on building a good brand, and he's good at it. He's a lot better than me as far as like making posts that just like look good. Like, he's just better at it. So he's handling that. That's another thing off my plate. That's a big theme of this month, is I've just gotten things just like off my plate. Obviously, as a CEO, you have some sort of oversight you have to do for pretty much everything. Like, you know, if there's a post that he posted, I don't like it, it's like, that's getting taken down. Like, I still have to oversee things. But like I said, he knows a lot about the business. I trust him. So he's handling that. 2 posts per day across all platforms, all short form platforms. So that's like massive leverage right there that I don't even have to worry about that. It's one less thing that I have to own. He's doing a good job with it. And we are like meeting over stuff to like make sure everything's like on track, and he's got a lot of good ideas about how we want to take the brand. Like, I know where I want to take the brand, but he kind of contributes in a more creative way, like how we can actually do that. So helpful there. So he pretty much owns all of the management of the videographers as far as sending them details for each job, reviewing their footage, providing them feedback, and then he also owns the social media. So first full-time employee, that's what he got off my plate, and then I kind of added in the side tangent of the 10K on Instagram. Our organic channels, that's something that's going to be big, so we have to keep working on that. But what else we got here? Oh yeah, so when everything started going sideways, like I said, and I'm like, we don't have enough videographers to do this stuff, the people were like, I don't even know if we can trust these people that we're sending. I actually ran into I talked about this in my last YouTube video. I had a very formative conversation with this company that is doing a similar thing that we're doing, just in the lacrosse industry. So I'm not going to give the whole backstory about, you know, like everything this conversation taught me, but it made one thing very clear to me, and that's that we needed to build a recruiting function. We need to be a recruiting machine, because we have no problem generating demand. I've proven this over and over again, even with our price raise when I was, you know, the last round of leads that we were getting. Nobody had a problem with it. We were pitching prices that were like way higher than normal, even selling like bigger bundle packages than normal. And it was honestly a breeze. It was too much of a breeze. I think a lot of that has to do with how we improved the messaging and all that. Whatever, I'm not trying to get into a side tangent here. But it was clear that we needed to have a recruiting function. They had a full-time person that was just responsible for recruiting and onboarding videographers, and they have a lot deeper of a network than us of videographers. So I was like, okay, this is how we win. It just became clear that like this is how we win the game long term. If we can bring in videographers, train them, get them to be better videographers, and then like that's what a service business is. You're charging an arbitrage for their talent, right? So the more talent we have, the better they get, the more we can charge for that, the more distribution we have. It needed to be like the same way we were generating leads. We needed to generate videographers and create a videographer funnel. So Declan was tied up. My guy who's the full-time employee who's managing, he's tied up. He can't do it. Our editors are all way too busy editing. I'm busy, you know, trying to make sure everything doesn't burn to the ground. But we had some videographers, right? Our videographers are typically a little bit free during the week. They have they're not free during the week, but they have, sometimes games in the afternoon on the weekdays, games on the weekends. And I had 2 videographers that I really have started to like, and it's clear they are interested in contributing to this in other ways than just the contract videography. So I was like, hey, would you guys like to kind of help us build the team of videographers? They now have official roles of talent acquisition representatives, okay? We're adding fun roles to everyone. Declan's now the creative director and media operations manager. We're making it fun. So they're now talent acquisition specialists, and pretty much we have trained them to use Indeed, how to work the applicants like you would work a lead, all the basic qualifications they need to know. And now they're doing that. They're working on it pretty much every day. And it's commission based. So it's something we're kind of figuring out over time, because we need more data to understand, okay, how much gross profit does a videographer generate us? Then we can back test that into a salary. But for now, they're just eager to contribute. They're excited to have more opportunities. And it was great to get them in that, because they're people I trust. They understand the standard of what we're looking for, because they have personally went through our training process. They have personally become better videographers, and now they know what they're doing. So who better to have do that than people who have already gone through it? They understand it all. So now they're just getting that next generation of videographers, right? So that's exciting. That's now another thing that I don't have to worry about. We're going to be constantly generating new videographers. They're running job ads. They're reaching out to people. They're reviewing test footage, vetting people. And that's great. So off the list here, full-time employee, 10K on Instagram. Meta ads absolutely cracked, way too good, to the point we had to turn them off. Recruiting function. What else? Oh yeah, we almost went broke this past month, okay? I had a bit of a come to Jesus moment with cash flow. I am not organized, and I didn't really realize how unorganized I was until, there was legitimately a point this month where I had less than $1,000 in our business checking account and $7,000 on credit cards. And nobody knew, because I was whatever, I'm gonna figure it out, which I did, and we're doing perfectly fine now. But I was I'd be lying if I didn't say I was shitting my pants a little bit. I was whoa, this is a weird feeling that I've never had before. This was the brokest I was in a while. And although I knew I had money coming in, and although all this stuff, it was not a great feeling. But I figured that out. But it taught me that I am not good at that. That's not where I excel as a CEO. And I almost didn't want to accept it, because I'm oh, CEOs have to be organized, they have to be buttoned up, they have to know everything and know all their numbers. And that's not necessarily the case for every CEO. Steve Jobs wasn't running his books. He was focused on making Apple the best products ever, right? And I'm a sales driven, marketing, visionary, that's what I like. I don't like finance. That's not my thing. As long as we're making more money than what's going out, which in this case we weren't, clearly, because I almost went broke, that's fine. But with that being said, it's not something I can continue to do if we want to scale the business. We should not be having cash flow problems at this stage of the company, or else we're never going to scale. It would be impossible, right? It's a service-based business. You shouldn't even really have cash flow problems in a service-based business. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about why we're having cash flow problems. There's a whole bunch of things that go into that, right? All that to say, I talked in my 2025 lessons video about how I hired a consultant. I hired this guy, Derek. He came in, he was actually a lead for our company. And we started talking. He was very interested in what I was doing. And he kind of, brought up the fact that this is what he does. He helps businesses scale, etc. So I was whatever. That was part of my identity, that I'm always going to be the kind of person who spends money to learn things, right? And we had, at the time when I hired him, we had $25,000 in the bank, 25K cash available on hand. And his fee for 3 months was $30,000, a little bit over $30,000. So I'm whatever, this guy's gonna pay for himself. I'm gonna invest in it, it's fine. And honestly, I talk in my lessons video, I kind of regret that. I don't think it was the best use of the capital at the time, but now the way it's all kind of coming together, I'm not unhappy with it. it stretched me thin. It stretched me thin cash flow wise. Months that we would have made, like 10 grand profit, which would have been sick. I just went out the back door. It's like, all right, over to this guy now. And it's okay. Like, I learned a lot. Not as much as I would have liked to. I didn't use him enough as I should have, which is what I'm kind of understanding now. So I'm trying to tie this all back into the cash flow thing. He's a consultant, right? But he's also served as like a fractional CFO. Like, he knows finance. He's an MBA. He's like he's got some kind of fancy title that like not a lot of people get. I don't know. Whatever. I only gave a guy $30,000. You'd think I would have done more research and understand exactly what he does. He's a great guy. He knows hockey. He's interested in the mission, so it's great to have him. And I thought that at the end of this 3 months, I'm like, I can't keep this guy. I can't keep paying for this guy. Whatever. And we had our call last week, kind of just assessing where we're at. And it's so funny. The past like 3 calls, they have all started with me and him like almost like yelling at each other. We're like getting frustrated at each other back and forth because he's telling me how I need to be organized and I'm telling him like blah, 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 that's not important, that's fucking boring, lame, whatever. And then I was just like, you know what, he's right. And I'm sitting over here like resenting the fact that I spent the money on this guy and I feel like I haven't gotten a lot in return. But it's like, how much of what he's tried to instill in me have I actually like successfully implemented? And a lot of what he was trying to instill in me was getting organized, like numbers wise, and having everything set up and like a good foundation. And me, I just want to sell. I just want to sell my butt off. I just want to market. I just want to do all these new things. And he pretty much told me, he's like I want to continue being a part of this. And it seems like you're not like doing any of these financial things that I'm suggesting you to do. He's like, what if I just like, because he knows that like, I told him, I'm like, this was really expensive for me. Like, this was hard to fully swing this. And he wants to kind of continue to work with us for a lower fee, but he's like, just let me handle the finance and you go do what you do best. And I was like, yeah, that seems like probably a good idea considering I'm a financial mess. This guy has a lot of experience in finance. And I really thought about it. This guy's got some unreal experience. Like, I'm not going to go name dropping. He's done a lot of stuff in his career. And I had this guy at my disposal for the past 3 months. And I didn't utilize him nearly enough. And at the end of the day, that was on me, not on him. It's not his job to make sure that like I'm asking him all the questions I need. It's not his job to make sure I'm like, having him do work, like assigning work to him, stuff like he was open to do all that. He always told me, he's like, whatever you need from me, like I'm happy to help. And I just didn't use him enough. And that created resentment because I'm like, I'm spending all this money, I'm not getting anything. That was my fault. Because I don't do well when there's just like I'm not a loosey-goosey type of guy as far as expectations, right? But now, if he's clearly owning this lane of making sure the business's cash flow is good, making sure our margins is good, tracking everything, reporting to me on a week-to-week basis of like, he's gonna essentially be a CFO. And yeah, like I will get my money's worth for that, because not only is he charging me like a very, very, very small amount, it's like I need it. I kind of need it. Because like I can wing it and I can Google Sheet Empire it for so long, but when we start getting into those bigger numbers, it's going to be hell. And someone owning that task, someone who's actually organized owning it, will be a lot better than me. So, people always blowing up my phone, bro. Let me just make sure this isn't important. None of this is important. We're good. Yeah, so that was kind of like, it was a weird feeling, and I kind of had to like take the ego hit. I was like, the reason I didn't get as much value out of this past 3 months, it's like, it's my fault. It's not this guy. And I know I would kick myself down the line if I didn't keep him involved, because like, he's clearly bought into what we're doing. And like, we're a lot smaller of a company than he normally works with. So it just like shows me that he like he's getting near his retirement. It's all that stuff. And I think this is like what he wants to do as a passion project. and he's good at it. So like I would be kind of an idiot to have this resource at my disposal and to not utilize it. So it was just a matter of figuring out like, where do I actually need him? This is the place I need him. Now I need to like just shut up and get out of his way and let myself handle stuff that's not finance, because I fucking suck at finance, right? Cheers to that, okay? So I think that just about wraps it up. Oh, what else did we do? Okay, we prepared for this kind of transitions in the next month. We were preparing for the Wee Quebec tournament, which is next month, which is February 12th to the 23rd, right? It's the biggest youth tournament in hockey, effectively. Last year we went with like zero preparation. We were planning the trip like now. We were booking our Airbnb and making sales now. It's February 1st right now, and the tournament's like, we were doing it like all 2 weeks before. So we effectively spent a lot of January planning for this tournament, and that resulted, like last year, we did 13K in 10 days. And I was like, whoa, this is a pretty good opportunity. Maybe if we actually prepare next year, we'll be able to make a lot more. As of right now, we have nearly 30 grand in bookings, like going in, like closed, like deposits down. And that's only for like the first half of the tournament, because the way the tournament works is you're guaranteed 2 games and a certain amount of exhibition games. And if the team advances, you play more. You can play up to like 5 or 6 games, something like that. The packages we sold are only for the first 2 games plus some exhibition games. And then you have the opportunity to add more. So we're going in with like a 30K baseline. And we reasonably will be able to add like at least 10 more on top of that, I believe. And we also have a plan to sell stuff after the tournament as well, as far as like more memorabilia, like print out photos, hard drive, like things like that. So we're going to do very well from this tournament. And we spent a lot of January as far as like our lead generation efforts. Once I shut off the ads, because I was like, this can't be the priority right now. And once I kind of transitioned back into marketing, sure, I was still working the hot leads, but I put a lot of focus onto this tournament. And because I partially had to get out of that cash situation. I had to like collect deposits for these people. And now we're going in with a very high number. So I guess that transitions into February, right? And what do we want to do for February? Give me 1 second. I'm going to answer these texts real quick. When in doubt, more coffee. All right, so we recapped what we did in January, and now we're talking about my game plan, I guess, for February. What I think is going to happen in February. You never know, right? Because if you would have asked me, what are we going to do in January, I would have said we're going to market and sell all month, and we're going to get 50K per month in revenue. It's not what happened. Stuff gets in the way. So here are my general, I guess, assumptions, my hypotheses of what we're going to do and what I would like to really get done. So the first one would be building a sustainable finance function. I talked about how we're going to do that, why we're going to do that, but we need a clear like dashboard. Like when I first said at the beginning of this video, we did somewhere between 30 and 35K per month. I couldn't tell you the profit. That can't happen. I need to be able to see off a clean dashboard right in front of me, what the business is doing, how much cash we have, how much we can expect, proper financial projections. We need someone who's good at that, dialing that in. That's going to be the guy, Derek. So that's great. Get that out of the way. We want proper invoicing, proper payroll, just everything in one central spot. So organized finance functions definitely at the top of my list for what I would like to do in February. Outside of that, we need to make sure that the regular business sustains itself and grows while we're in Canada for the Wee Quebec tournament. So like just based on the revenue we have booked for that tournament alone, we're going to have our biggest month yet. I have no doubt. We're doing at least 50. No doubt in my mind in that. I would like to do 75. 75 would be hard, but that's what I'm going for. That's kind of my revenue goal for next month, 75K. But we're only going to do that. Like the Quebec thing, that's great. That's a short-term cash flow boost that you get once a year. It's like, it's a big event, big deal. That's awesome. Love it. But we need to make the actual business, like our regular customer base back at home, that needs to grow as well. Because if we can't then sustain that into March, sustain and grow into March, then we're not going to hit the quarterly goal. So it's like lay down 100%, we're having a big month next month. I already know it. But we need to make sure it's a big month in the right way. So we need to have like an actual sustainable business going into March, if that makes sense. So that means that in Quebec, I can't be running around just filming. Like, I'm going for the connections and to like be a part of it with my team. I don't want to be doing any fulfillment. I want to oversee everything, and I'll be there if I need to. If I need to pop in and shoot a game, get it done, right? But I'm going to be managing simultaneously what's going on there, building connections, relationships there, being face fronting for the customers there, while also handling everything that's going on at home. So that's why we're kind of strategically picking the people that we bring to the tournament with us, because we need people back at our normal areas of operation to be able to handle customers, because we're going to continue to sell those customers and grow the business that way. So that's really important for me, is making sure that the business not only sustains but grows. That means like pretty much all my time has to be freed up to sell people. That's what I would like to do. And I think we took big steps towards that this month. We started the month with that being the case, then things broke. Then we took a step back, built kind of the functions around that where I can do that. And I think we're around there. So I'm also considering the possibility of hiring an appointment setter, like kind of like a second salesperson almost in a way, where, I mean, we have a ton of leads. Like, we have a ton of leads, and there's always more juice to squeeze with the leads. So it might make sense. Like, I can't think of a clear ROI hire to have someone who's able to work leads. Like, if we can work double amount of leads, we're probably going to make double the amount of money. So that seems like a trade that makes sense. It's just maybe there's some operational drag as far as hiring and training someone with that I'm not sure is a good time to do that. But we'll see. That's at the top of my mind. We're considering it. And another thing is just keeping standing meetings across all functions. So our team, like our entire team within the Slack, meets every 2 weeks, but we need to have weekly meetings for me and the recruiting function, weekly meetings for me and Derek for the finance function, weekly meetings with me and Declan to handle the social media and see how things are going management-wise. So weekly meetings, me constantly selling, making sure the business is like growing while we're there, because we're there for about half of the month. And the possibility of hiring an appointment setter. So we got organized finance function, growing the like core business outside of Quebec while we're in Quebec. And then something I want to spend a little bit more time on this month is like product and customer experience. Like, just really freeing time up for myself to think about how we can make our service even better. I really do want to transition to like, I mean, we've been doing it slowly over time, but like a real like white glove, like premium experience. And there are a lot of ways we can do that. And I just kind of need to have more time freed up in my head to be able to. And because at the end of the day, like the service you provide, like that's the highest leverage thing on your entire business. If what you sell is good, that's great. If what you sell is not good, it's going to catch up to you and bite you in the ass one day. So I'm constantly trying to stay on top of improving our product/service over time. And we're obviously doing like small things to make that happen, as far as just the weekly quality control reviews with the videographers, making sure that they're getting better over time. Customer onboarding and stuff like that. I was gonna offload this, to be honest. I was gonna hand off the customer onboarding, the customer communication. But one, the person I was going to give the role to, I don't think they're ready, and I don't think they would be the best fit for it. Two, I think it's important for me as the founder, like, communicating with your customers and getting new customers really go hand in hand. And when I think about what I enjoy about selling people, it's like bringing them into our environment and like getting them to be a part of what we are providing. So like, customer communication is sales. We're sending people, we're getting referrals, we are getting people to spread word of mouth. Well, that's referrals. We're getting people to leave reviews. And I think that I need to spend a little bit more time into like curating a proper customer journey, whether that's like meeting with people on an ongoing basis, things like that. Like, we need to increase our opportunities to ascend customers. And I think the way I do that is by me handling that. Like, it's almost like we have we have sales as a whole, and it's kind of chunked into two buckets, right? We've got new lead gen, new sales, we've got customers. And I think that I personally want to spend a lot of time, or free up myself for more time to be able to work on the service, work on the product, work on improving that, communicate with our customers more, in turn selling our customers more, alongside with that new lead gen. Because the customers you already have is always going to be a lot cheaper and a lot easier to acquire than new people. So that's kind of a personal focus for me. So now we've got finance, we've got making sure the business grows while we're in Canada, and we've got spending more time on the product slash service slash customer experience. And then the final part would just be like a growth game plan for our off season. So for those of you that don't know hockey, the youth hockey season effectively runs, like the regular season effectively runs from like August to March. There's hockey all year, but the regular season, August, March. That's like our core avatar right now, the individual players and families. Like, that's easy to sell to them during that period. They're gonna be a little bit less eager to hire us to film tournament games, to hire us to film showcases, summer things like that. So we almost need to change our avatar, change our business model a little bit. So as we kind of move out of February and into March, like, we need to be ramping that up. Whether we're selling to tournaments directly, whether we're selling to leagues, helping them promote their teams. I mean, not leagues, rinks, helping them promote their teams, their organizations for tryouts, things like that. Hockey trainers. There's a lot we can do. So we need to just figure that out, because we're gonna 100% need an additional revenue source outside of the individual players and teams. Like, that's our normal revenue source. We need something else if we want to hit the numbers that we want to hit during the spring and summer months. So I've been watching a lot of Sam Ovens lately. The guy, CEO, founder at consulting.com. Now he's with School. And he talks a lot about like second order consequences. So essentially, it's like when you do something now, it's like you get an immediate result from that. But there's also something that happens down the line. So like, for example, eating a donut, you probably get immediate reward, but then like second order consequences, you regret it, you gain weight, you feel like shit. So I want to pick an avatar and I want to pick a route that has a second order consequence that makes next regular season easier. So I'm considering kind of trying to go like B2B route, going after organizations and rinks and stuff like that, and building relationships there and figuring out what we can sell them in the meantime that also helps grow our presence down the line. So it's just something I'm thinking about, because this revenue, this target avatar, this sales process, this business model effectively will become less prosperous in the coming months. So instead of just sitting around and doing like not just maintaining, literally last year we just maintained the whole time. That's boring. We can't do that. We need to figure that out. So that's something that's kind of going to be more towards the end of February focus, but it's top of mind. So with that being said, that's my January recap, my February game plan. So to run through, we hired our first full-time employee. We almost went broke, but it taught me a valuable lesson, and now I have a CFO. We have a recruiting function now, which is great. We hit 10K followers on Instagram. We cracked the code on meta advertising. And then for next month, what I want to do is we want to have a clear finance function that's structured and organized, which we are already in the process of doing. We want to make sure the business not only maintains but grows while we're in Quebec for the Wee Quebec tournament, like the core business. And I personally want to spend more time on the customer experience, the product and service. And then we need to start looking into additional revenue models for the future, for the drier months. Not that we have a seasonal business, but the business just changes a bit pretty soon. So that's about it. Hope you guys liked it. I pretty much have to go do accounting for the rest of the day. for hopefully the last time ever, because now we're building a finance function. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Follow along. I'm going to do these every month. I already set a reminder on my calendar to do one for February. So I think it's a good way to kind of keep myself accountable and look back and like consciously recognize the progress that we're making throughout the year, and road to that $1 million revenue. So let's get after it.